And we are live. Hello everyone, welcome back to Hex Studios. In this video, I'm giving you 10 animation tips to help you improve on your animation in any form. Just like with the art tip videos, this isn't all you need to know to become a better animator. So, I will make more videos like these in the future. Now before we get into the tips, we have to answer one question. What is an animation? Well, animation is the process of playing a sequence of still images, or frames, at a specific speed. This phenomenon is also known to be called as an optical illusion, where every single frame is different from one another. Most of the time. But since it's being played one after another at a certain speed, the illusion tricks our brains into thinking the image is moving instead. The best way to see and understand this is with flipbook animations, with every image being different and being flipped with a certain speed. This creates the illusion that the image is moving instead. Now that we know the bare basics of what an animation is, let's get on to the tips. Tip 1. Idling. Everyone knows what idling is, but just in case you don't, it's practically a slow looping animation of anything or anyone. Instead of it remaining stationary, its pose or shape is affected by the elements or by themselves. A good way to show this is with a small example of me. As you can see, I am completely stationary, but let's add a bit of movement to it. There, now I look like an 8-bit character, but what if we add more frames to it? Well, this causes the animation to look smoother and less choppy. With the same number of frames, this also allows an alternative take on the idle animation. Another example I could show is the echoing corridor of suppressed memories. Here, the trees are moving left and right by other elements, more on that later. The trees' idle animation are their branches moving left and right. Now take a look at them if their branches didn't move at all. By itself it's fine, but comparing it before just looks stiff and stale, taking away the realism in the animation. So find a way to make most objects move to add a bit more realism than it standing there awkwardly. Tip 2. Tell a story. When making any backgrounds with or without animations, you want to tell everyone a story on the image first before context. Where did it take place and what time? The first example I can show is this forest art. This place shows a stream of water passing by in the middle of a forest, building many questions to a story everyone will speculate. Many people have told me before that it might be a relation to an adventure or rediscovering someplace nostalgic to them. With that alone, it already made people wonder what you are making. Another example I can easily show is this background from a cancelled project I was working on. This area will instantly give many people tropical thoughts thanks to how bright, organic, and colorful the place is. And some will think that it's inside of a game thanks to the land having a checkerboard pan. And with this being animated, it now hints that even more thanks to the slow waterfall falling in the back of green mountains. This seals everything once everyone now reads the name of this place, Cold Coral Reef. So, when making backgrounds, make sure to tell a story, and when you start animating it, it will give more context or mysteries to it, and many people will theorize it a lot. But you have to remember that the story is yours to make and tell alone. Tip 3. Add many frames in one. When watching animations, you'll almost never see this detail since it's usually one frame only. But when scrolling through each frame, you'll see a certain frame that looks like it has multiple frames copied and pasted into one. This is to show a sense of speed in multiple directions when an action is formed. A good example I can pull up is this one section in my 400 followers special. When cutting the tape off the box, I resorted to using 3 frames only, one for being the beginning of the frame and one for the end, while the middle one being the tape being cut the whole way. You would think that using 3 frames alone would not work at all, but somehow it did. Somehow. So yeah, when performing an action, as an option, you could stack a handful of frames into one to shorten it entirely. Just make sure the speed of the animation works with it, not against it. Tip 4. Animator's best friend. One of animator's best friend is easily the camera. The camera can easily make one scene look better by using different angles and different perspectives. A good example... I actually don't have one in 2D, but I do have one in 3D. Alright, tell me, which one of these looks better to watch? This one when using the camera? Or this when not using the camera at all? You see, it's crystal clear that when you use the camera correctly, you can achieve fascinating results. So always use the camera to your advantage whenever you change or move from the scene. Tip 5. Squash and stretch. Squash and stretch are easily the main staples of animation. Squash and stretch are the main components that connects anything to make it more impactful than what it was before, whether that making it more cartoony, powerful, or faster than before. Illuminate the Night with the Megawork use this technique to show how powerful it was despite how far away it was from our perspective. Squash and stretch can also be used to show what characters are thinking to another level. Take me again in the Cancel Project. Although there is no dialogue, you could tell that I was ticked off about something, and with the added stretch for the bigger jumps and the squash when stomping on the ground, it emphasizes the frustration. Or take the 400 follower special again. After the box knocks me down, it spins and lands on the ground as if it was made of jelly. Now take a look between the two without the squinch. As you can see, all thanks to the added squinch to the box, it looks more cartoony than an actual box in real life. One final note on squash and stretch. Squash and stretch is done correctly when you increase one attribute but decrease the other. So when you squash something, you increase the length of it and decrease the height. But when you stretch something, you increase the height but decrease the length. So squash and stretch should be used whenever you make something more impactful than what it was before behind anything. Tip 6. Choose a suitable frame rate. Yes, it does not have to be 30 or 60 FPS at all times. Heck, movies back then would at least be in 24 FPS, and back then they were not hated on just because of that one reason alone. If not then why now? Don't be afraid to make an animation at a low frame rate. Higher frame rate does not mean better animation. Take Spring Kingdom for example. This animation, whenever I look at it, is the definition of a new beginning, a new horizon after a new path was revealed after spending so long, tirelessly working for so hard. That's what I think when looking at this animation. This animation is at 12 FPS, and if I want to speed this up to 24 FPS at least, it would now look like, well, this. Same thing, but now it just has less emotion and meaning behind it. It's going too fast for anyone to understand what's going on. There were too many actions happening with such little time. So pick a suitable frame rate that works with the animation that you're making. Tip 7. Consider the elements. Going back to the first tip, when making animated backgrounds, you have to consider every element that affects any object around it. This can be reactions between the materials or weather conditions. Going back to the echoing corridor or suppressed memories, the trees are being affected by the wind causing them to sway back and forward. Take a look at the rain as well. When it hits the window, you can actually see the drops smacking on the window. And to build upon it, when the lightning bolt strikes, you can see the reflections of the raindrops all over the room. So, whenever adding any new elements to any animated background, always consider how it affects every other object around the scene. Tip 8. Lights and shadows. Going back to the previous episode, it is one of the hardest things to master, and the best way to get better is just by practice. And doing this with animation is no different. Using the echoing corridor or suppressed memories again, when the lightning flashes, every object's color changes to a brighter one entirely. And the shadows, being the lightning bolt strikes, were considered for the table and window frames. And when the lightning does strike, the shadows grow in size. Small details like this causes the animation to become more realistic. And Illuminate the Night just takes lighting to the next level, affecting everything within its radius. Heck, even before it shoots up to the sky, the buildings, glass, and ceilings are affected by the color, and the rail is affected when the firework explodes at its fullest. So always consider the lighting in the animations you make and how it changes either to a slow fade or a sudden snap to a new one entirely. Tip 9. Particles and effects. Particles and effects are the small details that can easily make any animation better just by being there. Take nature's majesty for example. With the small particles being in the background, it now makes a quiet forest now a peaceful place to be in after a long day, where everything is quiet, where no one and nothing can harm you while you gaze at nature, letting its performers entertain you. It's the little things, like in the 400 follower special again, from the knocks on the door to the box hitting and landing, to the tape being cut, and to the trophy being placed. Small details like this adds more eye candy for everyone to admire, so when it's right, add particles and effects to the animations you make. Tip 10. Take inspiration from anyone and anything. Again, just like before, taking ideas from different animators and animations can cause an idea to awaken within you, whether that be in games, movies, videos, or something that you see in real life. Inspiration does cause you to want to recreate that certain thing in your own style, whether it be now or later. Because, again, taking ideas from others just allows more opportunities for you to become a better animator. We all see new things and we take it into our own style, moving together as one. Well, that's all the 10 tips I can give you to help you improve in animation. I hope you've all enjoyed this video and that it's helped you to become a better animator. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Stay awesome.